Shadow man.
I want to make it right, and I get too much light behind me in one way, and now it's shadow.
It's like we could do it in silhouette. Oh, that's better. You actually have features to your face. How are you, Mike?
Good. How are you?
Good.
So I have a city council meeting at 6 o'clock, so I'm probably gonna bounce around 6:15.
Or 6. I mean, you do what you need to do.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think.
Do you want to turn the desktop over to one of us so that we can show things and stuff?
Yeah. So I mean, let's start that now. How do I
Sure.
do that?
Yeah, because I know how to do that. And
Yeah.
Sandy does too.
What do I do to do that?
Yep. There we go. Share screen, participants. There we go. And then we'll just send you a copy of the minutes after it's, draft form when it's done.
All right, so you're a co-host.
The burden of, thank you, the burden of meetings has not hi Richard, has not in the least bit eased up with Zoom, huh?
It's been nonstop since 7 o'clock for me today.
Wow. I don't know if Richard has if he's muted.
I'm not muted. Hi, Carol. How are you?
Good. I said hi and I hadn't heard anything else. So. Your bushy beard is bushier than usual.
Yeah, so is this.
So a real Floridian. Are you still in Florida?
Yeah.
And how much longer?
I will be heading north probably on the 23rd.
And Kathy?
Around the 1st of June.
Now, I hate to say this. I'm really, did her mom die?
Yeah.
Okay, because I know that was always something that you would manage to, do some visiting and traveling with before, right?
She lived with us.
Okay, that's yeah.
When we left Italy, we moved to like 4 miles away from her in Arkansas.
Oh, okay.
And then we bought her a house that was all one floor, flat garage, flat everything. And then one year when we were in Beverly, she passed away.
Yeah, I sort of remembered. It's awkward to ask that question. But
so we went to Arkansas and basically said there's no reason for us to be here.
Right.
Moved to Florida.
There you go. And hopefully the winter's been good?
Well, winter's been very good.
Okay.
Works in flip-flop.
Hi, Chris.
Yes.
Hi.
I'll just tell you right now, and I'll tell Sandy when she gets here, Mike has made me co-host because he needs to go to a city council meeting.
Sounds good.
Okay, so we're all set. We should be all set.
Any moment. She's homeschooling our 8th grade grandson.
Okay.
And took him back and then stopped to do some grocery shopping. And
she'll be in. Oh, that's nice. So you're near your grandchildren then?
Near one of them.
Good. Okay. Nice.
Yeah, we have some in Texas and some in Ohio. And so, hi, Christine.
Hey, Richard. How you doing?
I don't know if you're focused on your shoulder. I don't know if you want to get your head in there instead.
You know what it is? I got my. That's better.
No, it's not in front of you. It's like to the side. There you go. Now that you look. Now you're looking at it.
I have to look at I gotta look at my
groceries up. I'll be right back.
Okay, Rich. Good. We'll just wait a couple of minutes till here's Sandy. Hi, Sandy. Oh yeah, I got my earphones in too. Mike told me that he has a meeting of the city council at 6 or 6:15, so I'm the co-host for tonight. But you're ready to start anytime you're ready, Mike. I've got the minutes ready to go too.
Okay, let's roll.
Call the meeting to order, and we're all set to go. So Chris sent everybody a copy of the minutes. Am I right?
Yep.
Have you started the meeting?
That's what I said. I'm waiting for Mike to say. He said, "Let's roll."
Oh, okay. Okay,
Good
if
to
you're,
go, Sandy. Yeah.
okay, thank you. Oh, boy, you guys right on the dot. All right. All right. Hang on just a reminder that due to open meeting law, this meeting is being recorded, video, audio, in accordance with the state open meeting law, consistent with the governor's order suspending certain provisions in open meeting law and banning gatherings greater than 25 people. We have all taken votes, Cemetery Advisory Committee, during further remote meetings will be done by a roll call. I'm Sandy Barry. I'm the chair of the committee.
I'm
Carol?
Carol Kelly. I'm a member.
Great,
Chris Meany, member of the committee.
great.
Hi, Gail, Public Works Director.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for
And-
coming.
Our guest,
Rich
Um,
Clark,
Look at there.
Look-
There's Richard.
full Payne with Skipper,
Oh, wonderful.
and Kathy's in the kitchen.
Okay. Awesome. All right. And I think I just heard the end of that. Carol has distributed the minutes from the February
Chris.
meeting.
Chris did.
Chris did. Okay. And I think, does everybody agree by order of a raising of the hands to accept the February 16th minutes?
I agree.
I agree.
I so move.
I am so moved. And since all are in favor, we will accept the minutes from the February meeting. We did not have a March meeting. We had a bunch of stuff in February, as you can probably tell by looking at, you will see the people that aren't on the committee. A lot of things were done. All right, so the second order of business is Carol giving us an update on the adopters.
I have no update. I haven't managed to get anywhere with this. I sent a query to my other committee members because Mr. Adino at the AMVets, who's on the board, had suggested that they might be able, or it might be possible that they could continue at some smaller level to help support the Prospect Street Cemetery. So I had trying to figure out what amount of money we might suggest to him would be a reasonable amount. I still haven't called him back because I didn't know what to ask him for. I think that he's on the board. He said he'd be glad to take the possibility to the board. So I just need to have some guidance from you committee members about what might be a reasonable sum to ask him, for them to continue in a sense with having adopted the Prospect Street Cemetery.
Where would those funds go and what would they be used for?
I think that's part of a bigger question we're still dealing with about how do we accept money, right? And I don't know how any of the adopters ever, Joyce and the McGraths put the work in. They didn't do money, they put the work in, right? I don't know how Carol Steele, what they ever did to be sponsors for the Langsford Street Cemetery. They were, but I don't know what they ever did to make that. I don't, same thing in Sumner Street. I don't know what those people did or how much money they put in. The Clarks have paid 7,000 times over what anybody could possibly put in money and in hard work. So, in that sense, for sure, they deserve a name on a plaque somewhere.
I know.
But I don't know what to ask Mr. Adino. And I don't know where the money would go. And so, there wasn't much point in asking him until I knew something.
Carol, is the money for a one-time donation or is this a yearly donation that the AMVets want to make?
My thinking was that we would ask them for an annual, commitment to an annual amount that might help. Mike, I have no idea how the mowing contract works. I realize you have to budget if you're going to add Prospect Street in, and so it might not happen this year, but I have no idea how, if there's any way to, filter money towards that or whatever.
We could do a change order to the existing contract and try to move some money around to cover it, because I don't imagine it's a huge sum based on the totality of the contract mowing budget. And it's one plot of land, so if I had to mow it more than once this year, we could.
Okay. But so it would help if the AMVets were able to give a little money to the DPW towards that, I assume.
Yeah, it'd have to be given to the city, and then the auditor and the treasurer would put it into an account that we could spend out of.
So committee members, I'm just looking for guidance from you.
Okay.
Should I suggest to Mr. Adino a sum and tell him how to do it?
Well, just backing up just a
Sure.
little bit. If we didn't get anything from Mr. Adino, mowing it just twice over the course of the summer might be good enough anyway.
Yeah.
And that doesn't require any additional funds, right?
No, we could mow that twice over the course of the summer.
I think you did it
Yeah.
last year. Am I right, Mike? You did.
More than twice, yes.
Yeah. And we
Okay.
have later in the agenda, we have a proposal for having the city take charge of that cemetery.
Yeah,
Okay,
okay.
so that's later though.
that's good. Now,
So
in terms of
just not to lose track of Mr. Adino, that's all I just
Yes.
like to.
getting back to Mr. Odino, I'm not sure. I mean, I know that he has an aging population.
Mhm.
I know that they are hurting a little bit for money as a result of that. You could certainly ask him in good faith. But honestly, I don't know. $100 a year?
Oh, see, I was thinking 250 was not an unreasonable amount of money, but maybe that's just me.
Oh, okay. You could
All
always
right.
start at
You know what?
250.
How about, may I asked the committee, may I simply approach him and ask him if there is a possibility that they would be able to do an annual thing and how much they could afford? Why don't I just do it that way? Okay. Does everybody want to?
That's right. But I'm sure he would probably ask, what would that money be used for? And we might just want to be clear on that and how that would all work.
Believe
In other
what we're
words,
saying is it's not in the mowing budget now, and Mike's finding ways to sort of put it in there, but this would go towards that.
Yeah.
Am I correct?
Yeah, it's not in the budget today.
Yep.
It's not in the proposed budget, just because we haven't officially, it's not ours to do yet, other than, you
Right.
know, we did it with our own labor. It sounds like we're moving on that path, so it kind of makes sense that we do it. And I could ask for a change order to the existing contract to see what the price would be.
Okay.
And,
But if I'd have picked it up out of my own budget until fiscal 23, so be it.
Okay. All right. I'll take care of that before next month, if that's all right with everybody.
Carol, one thing I want to ask you, is your idea or did he offer to make a donation?
Well, we were just chatting. He's a very nice man. And
Uh-huh.
they were feeling badly that they had let it go so much. And I can't, to tell you the truth, remember who brought it up. I don't know, but he mentioned the possibility. And he's a member of the board.
Carol, I
Yes.
have a question. I haven't been in there for a while. I know that they moved the tombstones to the middle.
I've
So
got
the-
it in a report, Kathy, that's coming up that tells all about that.
Oh, okay,
And then I'd love to answer questions, but it may already be in the report.
okay.
Okay.
so I think that what you're asking is to go ahead with the $250 request. It would go into the city's mowing, but, contribute to the budget.
Send to
I
the,
would, yeah,
yeah,
I
I'll
would
try.
think
All right,
so.
I'll try. Okay.
Chris?
Yeah, I just don't know what kind of budget they have. I just feel bad taking money from the AMVets, to be honest with you,
Me
but
too.
it just, I think 250s, Richard, you're a vet too, and Sandy is too, but I mean, it's a lot of money for old guys, right?
It is.
I don't know what their yearly fee is to pay to be part of that, post 33 or whatever the post is, but
But it's not just a post, it's beer sales, it's snacks. There's a lot of ways that they collect money for the organization. So it's membership fees.
So 250 might not be unreasonable.
I don't think so.
No,
And we're not setting that in stone. If they say to me, gee, we couldn't afford that, I'll,
Oh, within,
Come back.
yes.
Yeah.
I trust that you will do that, Carol.
yeah.
Okay,
All right,
All right.
that sounds good.
All right, thanks so much.
I just emailed to everybody the next thing on the item, which is the Prospect Street thing. Kathy and Richard, I can email it to you as well. I was able to do some research. Chris helped me find a document. I was down at the archives today, so I got a good history of Prospect Street. It's never been a city property, and Mike had gotten information through the city's attorney about the Massachusetts law, which allows the city to take care of a property that's neglected. It's a cemetery, without changing any of the deeds or getting complicated about who owns it or any of the, it doesn't get any complicated at all. So we've got in the document I just sent to you a little history of it. It just seems that it's had no ownership for a very long time. And it was in the 1960s, Kathy, and this may answer your question, that one of the city councilors became so disturbed, so much of the stones were damaged, knocked over and broken, that the city went in, cleaned it up, and that's when the stones were moved to the center of the area. But in that email I sent you, it's very, very clear that there are plots all over the cemetery. And in the city archives, they even have notes about how many burials have taken place. I have that map in each of the plots. And there are burials throughout the cemetery, just there are no stones.
Right.
So it's not appropriate for any other use, really.
I don't think so. So, Carol, are the stones stable is what I'm curious about. Are they just leaning precariously, or are they?
No, they're actually not terrible. I don't think, Mike, have you seen it? I don't think they're in terrible shape right now. They were only put up there in the 60s.
Right.
They were, so it wasn't that long ago that they were put there.
All right. Okay.
So there's that. And the only thing is, and in the report it's there too, is I talked to some of the neighbors and also to Mr. Adino. Right now it's a dog park and it's filthy. I mean, nobody cleans up. It's horrible. And so I'd like to take on the task for the committee to be in charge of planning a spring cleanup, see if we can get the neighbors involved, and, pick up all the plastic nips, maybe clean the bushes down in the bottom, which is where the neighbors say the vagrants, that's the term they used, hang around.
So Carol,
yeah, go
in
ahead.
terms of the update on the letter to the city recommending the adoption.
That's my note to all of you to say I would hope that the committee would agree to this. So that's my note.
And is it all ready and bundled up to go over to Mike to make that recommendation at this point?
I just sent him an email copy of it. You got it, Mike? Or
Paying attention to you, not my email right now.
oh, okay. Well, so you'll have time to read it later.
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah. And Kathy and Rich, I'll send you a copy too.
Okay.
From what I understand from Melissa Cox, that when the last owner passed away, they tried to donate it to the city and the city refused it, which is why there's been no ownership. So, that's entirely possible,
Yep.
And
And the taking charge, which is the Massachusetts state law, does not take over ownership. It says any town having within its limits an abandoned or neglected cemetery, it can take charge of it. And that's all it is. So and that supposedly it belongs to a trust at this point whose address is 18 to 22 Prospect Street. That's not a postal address. That is the cemetery. So there's no addressee. There's nobody in the trust. There's no names.
Okay. Piece of property. No,
that's their prime property, let me tell you.
Yeah, and Mr. Dolliver had a note in his volume 2 about who was buried there, the eminent people that were buried there. I'm just going to pull my blind down a little here. So that we have, some famous people's names, and they're there in the email on the map. You can see the names of the people who were buried in the cemetery, and it's in Dolliver, of course.
I looked up some of the names, the say words, for example, and there's pictures of their stones up in Find a Grave. So as far as people know, they're in there, and there's some pictures of their stones. So
the note is from me addressed to the committee. asking you if as a committee, we should consider recommending to the DPW that they consider taking charge. And so, as I say, it's a note from me to the three of us for us to come to a consensus.
Do you want us to agree to that
If you,
consensus?
it depends on how you feel about it.
Yes, I know. Chris,
Yeah, but
do you need more time to look at it?
it needs to be, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
I know it needs to be cleaned up, and I'm just looking down the road. And Mike, we need your help on this, because what we find is we go in, Sandy had brought this up, and it's a very good point, that we clean up things, but unless we're going in to clean up, nothing ever gets taken care of. It's not you, I mean, you're mowing and doing that, but has there been ever a solution come forth on the city where you can incorporate the neighborhood to kind of get some pride in their local green space, so they can help out as well, over the period of after the cleanup?
There's lots of examples of that, Chris. It just doesn't last. I mean, the groups will take on responsibility of neighborhood parks, playgrounds, cemeteries. And as soon as something else comes along, the children are a little bit older or they take a different job, it just seems they lose interest. And so we're right back at square one again. That's the problem with a lot of groups like this. I mean, if you guys weren't involved in First Parish and Clark, who would be there?
And certainly we've seen the cyclical pattern from, the really active committee when Edith Sparling was in town, a time of quiescence when things really went bad. And Sandy, I give you all the credit in the world. I think you deserve credit for reviving this committee. And so, yes, it's cyclical. And I say, it doesn't do any harm to clean it once, as at least, people have at least an example of what it should be like, as opposed to, they come in and it's a mess, so they just make more mess. And I think that's
We're not opposed to lending support. It's just we can't do it as frequently as people think that we can. There's no more people, there's no more money. So when we work there, it means some other day, whatever, how many days it takes, we're not somewhere else. So you kind of spread yourself thin. It's, you can't paint the house with a gallon of paint. So you paint a wall with a gallon of paint. We try to do it with a gallon of paint. It looks half-assed and it doesn't look very professional. So that's the kind of the trouble that we face is staffing, budget, and demand. And the demand grows without staff or budget. And demand and expectations are tied together, and we disappoint, unfortunately. It's just the nature of how it goes.
Right.
Well, I have two groups that are more than willing to support me in any of the cemeteries I'm allowed to go in and work.
You have what, Richard?
The groups, the prisoners from Lawrence. The sheriff has said he'll send me guys anytime he wants. We had them for a whole week. And the community service folks, they are more than willing to do 2 to 3 days a week. So the only thing that one of the individuals said is he doesn't want to get spread out across a bunch of people. That he will meet me with his people anywhere I tell him.
So then what happens, Richard, I think also is, you might move back to Japan and you're out of the area. I'm just saying, I don't want to say any other reason. It's just that things ebb and flow, and it's just hard to keep these things going.
Oh,
I
understand that.
I guess my thought is that may all be true, but does that mean we don't do anything?
No.
No, see, that's what I guess I'm saying. That is all true, and I realize it, but that's not a good reason not to do something this spring.
No, that's not the question, Carol. The
that
question
wasn't it.
is adoption by DPW. Like what does DPW gain? What extent responsibilities are there if it becomes adopted or take charge of?
Take charge of.
Still do a cleanup. A cleanup is kind of irrelevant. taking charge of Prospect. I mean, we can always clean it up whether DPW takes charge of it or not.
Right.
So Mike, I guess I'm asking you, is there value in taking charge of it as from your point of view as director of DPW?
It's a parcel of land in the heart of the city that has no ownership or no responsibility to it today. There are butters on the backside and the two sides, and obviously across the street, they get to look at a piece of land that's not well cared for. It's not a dog park. It's used as a dog park today. Neighbors have built stairwells and they've planted shrubs to screen themselves. I think there's a huge value in the city taking some responsibility to abandoned properties in the city. And I think we could get in there and do an initial cleanup, whether we do it together or a
That's fine.
combination of city staff and volunteers. We go there Monday through Friday. A group like yourselves can get there on a weekend day, or it doesn't matter when. You know, make a pile of brush, we remove it, we mow it, and we try to keep it as tidy as possible. Put some signs in there saying this is not a dog park.
Well, you need,
Well, I think, quite honestly, you know, a little presence there and talking, it's going to be the same people over and over again that use it as a dog park. It's the neighbors. It's not like people drive in from other parts of the city to bring their dogs there. So being there and making them hopefully a part of the cleanup and aware of it has to be some good, is what I figure.
Good.
Of course, I don't disagree, Carol. It's a great idea.
Okay. All right, Carol.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead. We'll pick a date this spring, and I'll do the organization for it. Okay.
Thank you.
We might get in there ahead of you, Carol, to do.
What's that?
We might get in there ahead of you to do.
I don't know if you want it before the dog feces and the nips are picked up because you can't mow, really.
No, we may get in there to do a cleanup ahead
Okay.
of mowing and ahead of any, fine manicuring that you guys could do.
Okay.
So Mike, I noticed there are a lot of trees growing up. So you'll even go in there and cut down trees and things of that nature to kind of clear out the brush too? Or do you think you'll go
I
there?
think clearing out the back perimeter is critical to making
Yep.
this successful project. And there's a chain link fence in the back that's sagging and falling, and there's a wall that needs to be kind of reset. So I need to get back there to do some wall work. I'm just, I don't think it's going to be dangerous to crawl a small excavator down there. I imagine those graves are either collapsed already or there are no vaults there, so we should be okay.
Good, okay.
I'm
Mike,
very excited about this. So committee, do we want to take a vote is my question, that
Yes.
we'll submit this to Mike.
I vote yes, the cleanup and submit it to Mike.
Chris?
I vote yes, but I would like it if we don't commit ourselves to a spring cleanup, just say we are going to clean up because maybe it'll turn out to be fall. I'm not sure if it's going to be a spring cleanup. I'm afraid if we say it's going to be a spring cleanup and if it doesn't come about, we've made a commitment. Can we just say we're going to clean, there'll be a neighborhood cleanup?
Chris, I'll commit to a spring cleanup and you guys commit to something to follow up.
Okay,
Great.
thank you.
All right. And
Now,
so everybody has a copy of it, but Rich and Kathy, and I'll send it to you, okay?
thank you.
Once we get offline.
Great. What do we do about attachments that are brought up during these meetings?
You can show them on the screen. It is possible. Mike, I should be able to do that, and you should be, I can bring it up on my screen and I can click share screen. So for right now, I could,
Danny's a host as well. I made her a co-host.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so that's all you have to do is have the dock on your computer and do share screen and we'll see it,
Yeah.
okay?
Oh, yeah, but I meant in general, because the city council has a packet that people get ahead of time, so they don't have to read during the meeting.
So
But
everything goes to the
anyways.
mayor's office.
Should we do that
Yeah.
from now on? I'd
Well,
vote in favor of that.
Yes, because if you have a really well-written document, I don't know, anyways, that sounds good.
All right, I'm gonna add
Now-
that into the minutes, okay?
And what was that?
Thanks.
What are you adding? I'm sorry, Carol.
It's a pre-meeting packet of documents will be provided to everybody on the committee, and Mike, before each meeting.
Great, great.
And Rich and Kathy too.
Oh, well, yeah, because you don't, there's other people that listen to this afterwards, as I found out, that have an interest in some of the
Right.
things. And
I've
they
added
wouldn't
that to the
get a-
minutes.
Yeah, they wouldn't get a private email like you're
Got it.
giving. Okay. Wonderful.
Is this hot on YouTube weeks later, Sandy?
I checked because I wanted to see how my hair looked.
A lot of views, 1 million views.
No, one of the city councilors asked me about something. I'm like, wow, somebody listens. It was great. All right.
All right, that's in the
Okay.
minutes for next time.
Thank you so much, Carol. This is awesome. All right,
I'm
number
sorry, I'm
4.
sorry. I have one more question, Mike, with the Prospect Street too, because there was signage, there was discussion about a sign. Would that someday also include an interpretive sign if at Prospect, would that, remember how the idea of interpretive signs?
Absolutely, Chris. I mean, I
Okay.
think it's critical. We're going
Okay,
to take that, any responsibility to it. I think we need to provide some signage for the neighborhood.
sounds great, great.
Sounds good.
Good. All right. Awesome, guys. All right. Number 4, update on the gravestone loan form between Gloucester and Trinitarian. I thought this was already done last month.
No, it's now final. It was just that
Okay.
it was sent out, but now it's final. The Trinitarian Church and DPW have signed off. The documents are saved at DPW. And the only additional piece is that the Trinitarian Church also added an additional document to the loan form that says that no clergy or member of the congregation are able to or remove any of the mounted stones. So the stones will always be where they are as long as the church is functioning. So that's all good and well then.
Oh, Chris, that's awesome.
Nice, wonderful.
Yeah.
All right, we'll talk later about something else. Okay.
Okay, good. Okay, update on written and photographic inventory of the First Parish Burial Ground, gravestones, fragments, and the others that are temporarily stored at the DBW. Sandy and Chris. Carol.
Also. So I have a document for every stone that's now stored at the DPW so that we have a paper trail for it, which we didn't have before. And it's very much like the loan form that we have that Chris has just finished doing with the Trinitarian Church. And those docs are going to become part of our digital file cabinet, which we're talking about. We're trying to figure out exactly how to do that. And it includes photographs of all the fragments as well as information about the stones. And then take it from there, Sandy.
No, that was excellent. And you know what I've done with those forms from the DPW is those have become the basis for the CPA grant submission.
Wonderful.
Yes. So I really, really appreciate that.
I have to tell you, I was in the archives looking through a box that Chris had indexed, looking for information about Prospect Street, and I put my hand down in the box and found 2 more fragments.
Okay.
Sitting in a box in the archives.
This is York fragments.
Yes, they are. And they're now in the cabinet right behind me. I've signed off on them, but they're quite small. So I want to make sure that they're put together with the stone that they go with. So at some future date, we'll do that. Right now, it's in my house.
Okay. Now,
Okay, but I've added the picture of them and I added the information about them already to the forms.
okay. Now, I have a number of photographs that were taken back in the 80s of the gravestones in First Parish Burial Ground. Is that to be talked about later in the DAM database or?
I hope so, yes.
Okay, all right, I'll bring that up then.
All right.
Okay, that's great. So for people that weren't at the last meeting, the idea is not to use the DPW as a forever storage facility. The idea is to return the stones back to the cemetery in the plots where they belong.
Now I have another report if you want that.
And in doing so, they may not be able to like stand up on their own, which means that's why we've been working on some grants to get them maybe some additional backings or different methods to get them back into the cemetery, but that's where they belong.
And Sandy, I know, has done research, and Chris, and so I've taken all that information about different ways that fragments have been treated in a variety of historical cemeteries. For example, at Old Granary in Boston, they're in a wall with fragments. Other places, they've actually used them, just simply buried them and then put a marker to show that they were back where they belonged and this was the original. We have the information about what the stones actually were and everything. So I think that that's a whole piece of what the committee's working towards, if I'm correct, right, Sandy?
Yeah, that's right.
So, go ahead.
Don't forget about reaching out to Moss or Jason about the proper way to do those things. I mean, that's what those guys do for a living, and
Right.
they're more than willing to help.
Yeah, and so I've got a summary document that we'll put in that package that we're talking about now creating, that summarizes the different ways that fragments have been handled and what we're trying to figure out about what.
It was a good document, Carol.
So I'll put it in a package together with everything else we're talking about today. How's that?
Mhm.
And if anybody else has something to give to me, give it to me and we'll put it in one package, okay?
Well, I'd really like that. I've got quite a few in Clark's that are going to need to be set some way other than vertical.
Ah. Then we gotta photograph those and inventory them. So right now, in order of priority, we've been dealing with the founders stones from First Parish, which are the Yorks and the, the early stones that were kind of yanked out of there, like 1716, 1718.
Really early, yeah.
Yeah, really early. And then the two Freeman stones.
From Bray, those are from Bray, right? The Freeman
Yes.
stones?
Right.
Yes.
And those are the stones we've been focusing on because we've been working on getting quotes from two different preservationists on those, which all have different styles on how to preserve them. I don't think we'll be making the decision on how to preserve them. We'll definitely, and by the way, we are inviting Moss back for this summer. So that will be nice. And Moss and Jonathan.
I'm going to put that as a by the way and put it in the minutes later.
Yeah, that would be really good. Because I was just saying it offhandedly because Moss wanted to come last year and there's just no way. I mean, it was very, difficult times, but we're going to invite him back for August, I think is the target.
Sounds good. Okay, I just got a note on that.
Okay, great. And thank you again, Carol, for that document.
Just trying to pull things together and obviously not enough to keep me busy.
There's another way that people have been deal with fragments in cemeteries. And no matter which book you read, and I've got so many books on all of this stuff, some people, they just can't be put back together again. They find the grave plot and they bury them.
I must admit, it's back where it belongs. It's where the family meant it to be. It was never meant to be on the second floor of the DPW, right?
Yeah.
Not sure anything ever was.
Oh, no.
On that summary document, you'll see there's a picture of the Boston fragments, and they have hundreds. It looks like the storehouse for all that Nazi war stuff that they do at the end of the movie.
Oh, yeah. Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah, thank you. I couldn't think of the name of it.
That was a really good scene. Okay. All right. Number 7. Number 7, restoration evaluation of First Parish Burial Ground stones in the DPW storage. There's Chris.
Yeah, Sandy, may I ask that as a committee, could we, since Mike has to leave, could we just jump forward to 11 so that we can get his opinion on some of these ideas?
Oh, yes.
Okay,
I
Mike,
didn't know he had to leave.
6:15.
Okay.
All right.
Amy, I'm sorry. I have a city council meeting that's beginning now, but
Now,
on the agenda for a little while. So Chris, I have some time.
Okay, I was just asking Sandy and Carol if it's okay if we
that's
jump.
fine with me. I'm moving it right now as we speak.
Thank you.
Okay, and I am going to show the visuals.
We'll start with maybe Richard.
Okay, could you start speaking first while I,
Oh, sure. So what it is I sent y'all again the two PDFs. One is Richard's and Kathy's design for the metalwork archway entrance piece going into Clark. And so there was some, and I want Kathy and Richard to discuss more about this concept of yard. Do they want Clark's yard, or and I know it's the committee makes the decision, but is there some historical background for yard, or is there another name that everybody knows the cemetery by? So I was just curious about that. What kind of information the Clarks would like to offer for that?
Well,
Keep talking.
in doing the research for all the different people, when I was going through the records, at a certain time, and I'm not sure which years it was was apparent to me that it was
Fair.
called yard. At some point, it's been called the Western Cemetery, as you know, like the western part of First Parish. So over the years, I like the sound of Clark's yard. I think that's a nice sound, but we're not heavily invested in the word yard. If Mike feels it's important to have some continuity, Clark Cemetery is fine with us. Just, you know, for a given period in time, it was Clark Yard sound, but
I'm just raising my hand, you know, in Dolliver, they all were yard. It was Anascom yard, it was, yard was the term that was used. So
Right,
it's
and-
historically accurate, for sure.
it is. And I like it. And I like the fact that it would kind of set Clark's apart from the others if it was Clark's yard and the others were cemetery. But if continuity is desired, we don't really care one way or the other. We do like the apostrophe because it was George Clark's cemetery. It was a private cemetery originally. So we want the apostrophe. But other than that, we don't have any strong feelings one way or the other.
Okay.
But it's shorter, you know, making the sign.
Saves money.
Saves him making a few extra letters there.
I think it's a handsome design.
I think it is.
It's beautiful.
Yeah,
It looks
It really is.
Thank you.
And simple, you know, it's not like it's overcomplicated, it's just really lovely.
So one thing I might ask is maybe for Mr. Clark himself is, or anyone for that matter, is there any concept on dimensions of this?
Well, yeah, it's based, the lower part is actually the distance of the two obelisks that are already there.
Okay,
So that's 6 feet wide. And I would say the 1835 should be at least 8 feet.
okay. All right. I'll
Oh,
work. I'll, if
annotate this.
this is the design that's desired for Clark's,
Yes, sir.
I will get some pricing on fabrication of this. Some sharp drawings made that'll depict exactly what it'll look like. We'll price it out and we'll present it perhaps at the next meeting.
Okay, should we as a committee vote because we all love it or something?
Which name are we coming up with, yard or cemetery?
Sounds like yard is what people find desirable here. I mean, I don't think the continuities, none of these cemeteries are the same. So I think other than people are buried in them, and they're in Gloucester. So there's really no continuity here. So if we want to choose yard here, and then the other kind of more, the First Parish design is a little bit more detail to it. I don't have a preference. I mean, I've never fall on that sword. I mean, this isn't really something that I focus on too much. Whatever's the appropriate design, let's choose it and be satisfied with it.
I'll actually make a motion.
What
That-
if it's listed as Clark Cemetery in Find a Grave? Would that make finding it difficult if it's yard?
We can change that.
We can get that changed.
Right.
Okay,
And I also think perhaps some informational signage nearby this may explain what Clark's Yard is, and maybe the term yard could be called out in a simple couple of sentences that, cemeteries of this vintage were frequently called yards, if that's the case. I'm sure there's other,
It's all over Dolliver, everywhere. Yeah.
Right.
good.
I
So-
don't want to write the text for that, Carol, so if
Yeah.
there's someone who has something,
I have plenty of text for that.
Right, right.
all right, well, there it is. So Richard, if you could provide that to the committee, the committee could present that, and I can get some proofs made up of what a informational signboard would look like. I don't think it needs to be huge, but I think it needs to have enough information, maybe even the shape of the cemetery, where some of the more, and then we got a QR code on it that gives more detail where people are buried, if that was something that was desirable. And that could be a living document, not like a sign that's static. That could be, we could
Like
add as we learned more.
Mike, I know you have to leave, but here's to the committee. I'm just going to say, I'm not sure we finished talking about what's going to be consistent about what kind of information is going to be on these informational signs. Have we
That's
finished
fine.
that?
I'm just suggesting
Okay.
call out yard to define that, if that's.
Yard's lovely, yeah.
Yeah, well, and we'll speak, because I think we're working on the next thing after this, after looking at maybe the concept of the metal gate for Clark and for First Parish, then we'll start working on the interpretive sign
Good.
and start laying down the foundation for that.
That's good. I wrote that, I love this design. I think it's really handsome. I don't know, if I'd like to make a motion that we accept it and
Yeah.
move forward.
I accept it.
Second that.
Great.
So,
All right.
is this all black wrought iron?
That's fine. Yeah,
Is that the desire?
Yes.
Granite on the bottom, maybe? No?
Well, it's granite, the posts are granite, I believe, correct? The very base?
Yes.
Yep.
And those will have to be fastened through some sort of, I'm not sure if there's any pre-existing holes drilled, but we could drill holes and set it, weld it in place, and it'll be done.
Right.
I probably should pull away at this point, but there was a request through my office about a way to scan documents.
That was from me. Nobody else knows about it. I'm just doing the homework.
Okay, so Carol, I've ordered you a scanner and a box of USB drives. So you will be able to take that scanner to your, wherever you want. You can load it on, it's still city equipment, but you can take it as a committee member. Anyone on the committee could take it.
Of course, yeah.
Wow.
It should be plug and play for PC. I assume it might be Mac compatible too, but it's generally
But
PC.
that we're pretty techy. We can figure it out.
So
Oh my gosh, I didn't expect anything like that. Thank you, Mike. Thank you.
it'll record PDFs, and all I ask is that we have a copy of
Mhm.
anything you scan as well. That's why I bought extra flash drives, so that we can download that into a bigger GIS at some point. Because I think we have to get to the point where the city is the depository or repository of information like this, so we can have a robust layer for the cemeteries.
That's where we're heading as a committee anyway.
Yes.
That's
So
great.
that's on order. My guess is by the end of the week, it'll be here.
That is so, I can't believe that happened. Thank you, thank you.
I know.
Easy
Yeah,
thing.
thanks, Mike.
I was just exploring. I didn't know what was going to happen.
That's great, Mike. Thanks for that.
Thank you so much. Okay, bye.
Am I gonna,
So
sorry.
Mike,
is it okay if I pull out? Does somebody
Yeah.
need it now?
Sandy's got it, right?
Continue.
we'll look at the First Parish next in May.
I mean, I have a few minutes because I'm sure the presentations are still cooking on at City Hall. So, I mean,
this is First Parish.
Right.
Is it- and you
So
just- Mhm.
I would love to see a photograph of the finial at the top of that arch. So we could have a fabricator create something.
I drew that, Mike.
No, it's great, Chris. I want to be able to give my metal fabricator something that they may be able to measure off of versus a sketch. I mean, I think that's perfect. If you have even a photograph of something similar,
Okay.
We can certainly get the angel and the wings for sure.
Sandy, could you go through the last two images? Mike, I want you to see, and everybody else to see the last two images.
sure.
Are they right on here?
Yes, it's all in one doc. We see that,
Yep.
That's that pretty metal work.
I was hoping that some of that could be put into where that empty negative space is, but I don't know what the metalwork fabricator can do, but it's the graves, Sandy, I think it's the last two images. Another.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So is that,
Those are
that
nice.
slate stone, what you envision
this
to
is-
be the finial?
Yes, yes, and I just didn't know, because I didn't fill in that space because I wanted the committee and just look and see, hey, when that empty space that leads up to the angel, what can we do? And also I need to know what your man can do, how much is too much? But Sandy, could you go down just one more, hon? So here's the angel. This is a stone that's actually in First Parish. There are two of them like this actually. And and see, it's very rare to have the wings that go upwards.
Yes, it is.
And so we have two of these, but I'm not fond of the gentleman's face. So Sandy, would you go down one more, please?
Much more typical is a skull with the wings coming down, which would fit an arch better as a
Yeah, but
design thing.
I don't like that, Carol, because it's so gruesome. And I want something cheerful. Sandy, you can go up and see
Something
if you look at
cheerful.
if you look at
Nothing
this
says
woman-
here like cemeteries, Chris.
Yeah, I know, but look at this woman's face. It is so pleasant. I mean, this is one of the founding pieces. Her wings are down, but I sort of took her face and put it with the up. But look how beautiful. She's got beautiful lips. I mean, she's just a happy woman.
And that's Mary Ellen. That's a nice early stone at FPBG.
Well,
would
then you
that
would have,
work, Mike, for an image? Would that work for him to see that?
I mean, anything would work. I mean, I think seeing that in metalwork versus in,
Stone.
carved in stone, I think is kind of critical because the metalsmith, welding fabricator, whoever's doing this work, they need to understand that someone made this once before out of metal.
Oh, out of metal,
Because that's what the arch would be, metal.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
again, I think that's fine. And I don't know, maybe I need to do some cemetery visits into places that have things like this.
Well, was it metal? What if it was an actual piece of slate carved?
Potentially, as long as it can be fastened appropriately and not fear that someone's gonna throw stones at it, in the off hours, Richard.
Well, that might be nice because we have a stone carver that we have connections to. If we could have one of those death's heads, nice ones, not the scary kind, carved by a stone carver that carves on slate, and then it could be put into a metal frame.
Sure.
Oh, nice.
We could do like a, X by X, inlay that would accept slate to be epoxied in, or probably epoxy would be the best way to do it.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
Relief would be like an inch, so take an inch piece of slate that could be carved into. Again, I don't know what it's done. I don't know how it's been done other places enough to speak on it right now. I might do a little research myself, but I think we could do this if we had consensus on what it looked like.
Right, and that this is just conceptual, and that's because the thing is, the committee has to decide, because I'm kind of favoring a mix, like a hybrid.
no, it should be what can it be emulated on a stone, I think. Because
Okay.
this is a famous stone here.
Right.
This one I'd have to do more research on. I don't know.
Mary Ellen?
Yeah, I don't know who carved this.
I'm not sure. I can look in the database and see if we know who did. We may not know.
Right.
Or you can get a hold of Brent, you know,
What was that, Richard?
if you got a hold of Brent Ryan, he could tell you who carved that. I can give you his name and number.
That would be great. That'd be great. But we, so Mike, again, to get some sort of, and Kathy's idea, perhaps, getting something carved in slate and then having it framed with a metal piece, correct?
If that's the desire.
I think, Mike, if I'm reading you right, all you really want is for us to be really clear about what we want.
I don't want to disappoint anyone, and
Right, yeah.
I don't want to spend a whole lot of time and effort to erect something and then
And have people go, oh,
disappointment
yeah.
saying that's really not very period looking, or that's not what we thought it was going to look like.
Right.
Well, all of these are period. They're all 1740 to 1760. So, and they're just, the whole point is, in that neighborhood, I don't think people want to be looking at skulls and bones over the pillars. I mean, you might as well make something handsome that's period based, that wants people, that makes people want to come in and visit. Don't you think?
Yeah, I don't have any problem with the skull. I love it. But
I mean,
that's
I like the skull.
I think it needs to be authentic to the time period.
Yeah.
And
That's all. I mean, I don't want to put something
A
that
happy
looks like an
face.
emoji from an Apple phone on there.
Yeah.
right. So can we leave it? I mean, I know you need to go. Is it that we're gonna, get together and firm up what we're looking for?
I think
Yeah,
I'm gonna start with Clark's Yard first, because that seems
Yeah.
pretty straightforward. And I'm gonna move on that one right away. And maybe if I get that one done, then maybe a little bit of time for us to think about what exactly First Parish would look like. And hopefully, if I do the first one correctly, there'll be some support for our next effort.
Love it.
So Mike, one last thing, looking at that conceptual idea, would the arch could work like that, or is the arch too much, or is it just you want one arch and not a double arch?
No, I mean, a double arch is easy to weld to, for sure. Double arch provides strength. Bending wrought irons is an easy task, especially with modern equipment, not done by hand. It can be made to look old. It wouldn't be finished in a way that would never rust. You'd want it to rust to make it look like it was supposed to be there. And it has a life expectancy. I mean, this isn't going to last, 300 years. It might last 200 years, but I don't think anyone in this committee cares what happens 200 years from now. I mean, as far as that goes, that's up to the next group.
Yeah.
I keep saying I'm so far no proof I'm not immortal. So let's see.
All right, Carol may be there to check it out.
Yeah.
I know I won't be.
Yeah. Well, okay, we'll keep, because everything's period based, so we'll keep working on this one. And it sounds great that we've got the Clarks going forward.
Yep, great start.
Had a bunch of my family on the last screen, Chris, so. Or whoever had the screen up recently, just had a bunch of my family members.
Really?
I am old Cape Ann.
We're cousins, right?
Tell me what the last name is.
Me?
Yeah.
Well,
Of your ancestors.
Hale, Woodbury. I mean, there was a screen.
Woodbury, that's a biggie.
There was, I got Stanwood, I got Coffin. Trust me, I am Cape
You're well
Ann.
connected.
Yes, well, I
Wow.
didn't get much out of it, but
You and Rich are cousins for sure, multiple times over.
there's Clarks in the family. I thought the Clarks in my family had an E.
Oh, okay. Those are
That
the
doesn't necessarily leave people out because people
No.
just spelled their name any way they wanted.
Sure.
right.
Yeah, but I got a lot of Woodbury and
Yeah.
We'll grab a coffee, Richard. We'll talk about it.
okay.
All right. I'm gonna jump.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks,
All right.
Mike.
Thank you, guys.
We'll send you, and thank you for the scanner.
Yeah, and Rose will reach out to you when it arrives.
Sounds great.
Okay, she's out. Her birthday's tomorrow, so she's out tomorrow. I anticipate it by Friday, so I'll probably call you Monday.
Fabulous.
Okay?
Great.
Thank
Okay,
you, guys.
All right,
Thanks
thank
again.
you.
Bye.
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 But Carol, just, I don't want to,
You have to excuse me. I'm gonna go off camera for a moment.
Okay. I was just going to say to Sandy, the numbers have all gone askew, but what it looks like was the next item was the update on the CPA.
yeah, I
grant.
just had a
But you can-
question about,
I like, yes, say this, go ahead, Sandy.
I have a question about the name on this stone. What was the first name on that?
Mary Ellen. I'm almost certain I can look it up. I've got the documents on my computer.
No,
but
it
that's
is Mary.
storage documents. And this is how Rob put it together. And I went in and cleaned up the background. That's why it's all nice, that nice solid tan, like the old crappy cardboard that was under there is gone. So,
Yeah, Carol, that's not wrong.
Okay,
That was Sandy.
oh, okay. Well, that was when Sandy and I put it together.
Yeah,
then.
yeah,
I have since I've also got Rob's that you sent me. So,
right.
all right, number 7.
Okay,
Chris,
it looks to me like the next one's the CPA grant, Sandy, I think.
oh, I thought she said 7, I'm sorry.
no, it is 7.
I don't know what the numbers are anymore because where I'm
It's-
taking the
it's
notes
number
have changed.
7. It's restoration of the DPW, and evaluation. This was with Rob. So,
Okay.
with respect to the founding gravestones, Rob has come in with 2 numbers totals.
May I ask Rob's last name? I haven't gotten that yet.
Subarian.
So
So Barry,
it's capital SURABIAN,
Thank you.
Arabian. So, and his business is called Gravesite Preservation.
Thank you.
So, with respect to, he came to DPW, Sandy and I were there, and he looked over the stones and spent a lot of time measuring, and we had time to discuss, possible restoration. And these are fragmented pieces, except for the Captain James Davis. But the other stones were Richard York, York's son, and Samuel York. And so, with respect to Captain James Davis, because it's pretty well complete, he was planning on just building a base and resetting it into the base, and he didn't feel it needed any other support. The only thing that that Sandy and I were a little we questioned about that is because at the base of this particular stone is the carver's sketches. And if it does get embedded in granite, the carver's sketches will be mostly gone. So a decision has to be made whether that's important or not. And if it isn't, then you would go ahead and just place the stone in the granite, or you would have to think of another way of supporting this particular stone.
Well, when they set them in granite like that, they don't, the setting compound goes around the edges of it, holds it in place. But I don't think that the information would be lost. It might be out of sight, but I don't think it will be damaged. So it's there historically, it's still preserved, even though it's in the slot in the stone. But,
what, do you know what type of material it is?
It's slate. It's very thick slate. Now, you're right too, Kathy, and I guess what we could do is, because Sandy's really great at photography, she could take a really nice picture. We could put it into the database file and have a picture of the full sketches. And even though some of them would be not seen because of the embedding in the granite, at least a nice picture of the sketches, a complete visual of the sketches would be available in the database. That's a
the original stones were set. I don't think that those were visible. That was
No.
the signature.
They were below ground.
Yeah, so that part wasn't visible.
But it's really beautiful. And I'm just looking on my computer so I can share it with you. Give me about 2 seconds here. I'll pull up the doc so you can see it.
Well, depending upon the condition of the slate, there is procedures where that could be extended. Another piece could be added to it, which would be below ground.
Which one was it? Was it James? Was it Davis, Sandy? I mean, Chris?
Yes, it's James. It's very thin, Richard and Kathy, and it's almost like he just doesn't feel that he could embed it in the granite with a small amount of slate that's not engraved on. So
Right.
he needs a chunk. And I know, Kathy, a lot of things are buried. It was just one of those things like, wow, you get to see the sketches, but again, sometimes you're just going to have to let that go. You know, it's just that.
And where the QR codes of photography come in very important,
Yes, yes,
because you photograph, put it on a site, the QR code.
right,
Yeah.
right. No, and Sandy, do you have anything you want to say about that?
Can any of you see my screen? Can you see
Oh,
this
yeah.
here?
Yeah.
There it is. It really is lovely.
It is, yes.
It seems a shame to bury see, here's the stone, here's the top of it.
Hmm.
And then this is the bottom. And that's the part that would be buried, although I don't see why and this is a close-up of it. I don't see why you couldn't have him set it so that was above ground in this case.
Oh, he can't because it's just too thin.
It's not enough to, if you
Exactly.
bury it deep enough, that could easily break off.
Snapped off.
It could be snapped off. You need it
Right.
pretty.
Yeah, and you've got some stress fractures in there too. So
Yeah.
Right. It measures 27 by 20 by 6.
He's thinking of taking that one and putting it in a base.
That's it. Yeah, and just resetting it because
I know it, but I don't know how long that'll stay together because of all those stress fractures, though.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I assume maybe he would try to see if he could repair. Is there anything? Again, I'm ignorant on this part. So I know he said that he would try to fix up the stones as best as possible. Richard, is there something, and Kat and Sandy, is there something he would do to those stress factors as he was restoring it, the fractures?
Yes, there's multiple ways or repair the fractures. And then there's sealants that can be applied that allow the stone to continue to breathe,
Mm-hmm.
protect that work.
Right, because I know how Rob is. He's very thorough, and he said, "I will do everything to make sure the stone is in, is in good shape." I'm pretty sure, Sandy, he would do something like that to repair or seal or somehow strengthen so that the stress fractures weren't an issue for at least for the next 50 years or so.
Yeah.
Well, I was just going to say that these were the other solutions. These are some of the other solutions. And here, for example, is a stone. It wouldn't matter how thin it was, would it? The way it's set here into the granite.
No, but a lot of people would come just absolutely unglued doing that.
Yeah.
Right. And then here's some done in.
Right. And that's what I'm going to look for. There's a, I'll get a hold of Jason down at the National Park Center for Technology and Training and ask him a way to mount that to something without damaging it. I know there's a way to do it. And I know there's a specific material that he'd want to have it done, but that stuff's out there. I mean,
Yeah, I know that Rob knows what he's doing, Chris and Sandy. I know he does, but
Well, he hasn't done mounting before.
so I guess my question was, do we need to at least talk to a couple of more people?
Well, we've contacted,
Yeah,
the
you're already
Fannin.
doing that. Perfect.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, because we got really nervous. You know, it's a National Historic, it's on the register.
Yeah.
And the Fannins are qualified to go in there. And Rob was very honest. He says he's never done this before. He'd have to research it. The Fannins have done it and they wanted to do it on some of the other stones in there already, Captain Miles Barnes. who's also a nub of, needs to also be mounted. But, so we've put out feelers to other professionals too.
Okay, all right, great. So that's
And
not,
Richard, if you have, I mean, it wouldn't be bad for us to get a third bid. If you and Kathy know someone too, like you mentioned, this Jason.
Well,
Maybe,
Jason works for the National Park Service.
okay,
Maryland, he's in
that.
Maryland.
But right in Texas, he would be willing to come up and do it,
Mhm.
but he'd probably be the most expensive one going.
The thing
Right.
is, we want to do whatever is historically acceptable.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah.
Jason would give us an opinion on what would be okay and what would really, raise eyebrows if we did it. We don't want to piss in anybody's.
Yeah. Because again, right, Kathy, it's a National Historic Register and
Yeah.
I
And
got
there's-
a little nervous. Rob does impeccable, great work, but he's still trying to figure out the best way to do it.
Right.
I think, you know,
Thing is-
slowly now and a good finish is where we're not in any hurry here to get this done. The stones
Right.
have waited this long.
So the status of that is, am I up yet? Let me see.
no, well, let me just.
I'm number 9, sorry.
Yeah, so we were on Captain James Davis because of the indecision of wanting to bury his sketches. And so with respect to what Rob has quoted for, he's given us 2 quotes with respect for 4 stones. And if the stones, and again, as Carol showed you a picture of the stone being inlaid, one would be inlaid in granite because these are fragments. Another quote would be inlaying the stone in concrete that would be not look like concrete, but that would be aged somehow. So with respect to the concrete, the 4 stones, it would come to $6,250. With respect to the granite, it would come to $9,400. You good with the numbers? So
Yeah.
know,
Oh.
Hmm?
But those aren't unreasonable numbers.
You know, especially the way Sandy writes grants.
It's a matter of, again, I think the grant that, well, I have to wait for number 9.
Yeah, is that the end of that so that we could,
that's with us now go to number 8, which is
So are the only one that's provided any,
at
uh,
that time, yeah.
Yes, we've asked the Fannons, and I'm gonna have to check my email again, Chris, just to see if they've gotten back to me. Good, and I'm gonna just check it, and I will have an update on that. I'm gonna have to call her if she doesn't call me back.
Right. And
What-
I'm not sure, do we need to really put the price in our minutes?
no,
No, yeah. So the only other thing we have is we have a bid from Rob on the Freeman stones. This is number 8. And so again, he gave us a bid for embedding the 2 Friedman stones in concrete and embedding them into granite. And the difference is a difference of $5,000. One's close to 10, the granite is close to $10,000 for the 2 stones, which are huge. The stones are huge. And the embedding them into granite would be about 5,000. Yes,
I believe if I'm right, because you told me a little bit about this. When he's talking about concrete, he's not talking about, like the local, my porch. He's
No.
going to put some particulate material in there. It's going to look like granite. It's going to have some texture and some color, right?
yes.
I was
exactly.
pretty sure that's what you had said.
Did you just say the granite is not as expensive?
No.
No, I said it's almost $5,000 more than the.
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry, that's what I thought. I
Just think
heard.
about it, just simple 5,000 versus 10,000 for
Yeah.
the 2 Freeman stones.
Now, and that's because of the size difference.
Yes, because they're huge. The Freeman stones, they run 4822 by 2. That's for Robert Friedman, and Robert Friedman Jr. is 52 by 22 by 2.
Can I ask a administrative question? Having worked for districts for years, Anything over $1,000, I had to have 3 bids. Had to.
Here it's
Because you're
10,000.
writing a grant and we're acting as a committee, we don't have to do that
If it's over 10,000.
if it's over 10. Okay, thank you so much. I was just curious about that.
Well, why do we need, I don't want to take business away from them, but why is Rob gonna set those 2 stones?
Oh, no, we're just getting bids, Rich. We're only getting bids. That was he just happens to
He's
be,
local.
he's local, gets a bid, but we're looking for other people to give us bids.
That's why Sandy's contacting the Fannons.
We,
Go ahead, Richard.
What,
we-
Richard?
these were ready. Rich, I think wants to know if these are the same ones we were working on in gray that
Yeah,
are ready ground. They're pretty much ready to go, aren't they?
Not really.
no,
They've still got
No,
their braces on them and I think
No.
you're afraid to take them off, aren't you?
yeah,
Russell doesn't want to take braces off of them?
no,
Russell's not involved anymore.
Yeah, Russell's just back off.
he's got a lot of, he's got a lot of, busyness with business and his family. So he's taking 2 years off, or at least.
Okay,
And by the way, I'll just mention now that among the other things that I was thinking of fragments, when we've got these little pieces, that vault is a great place to put them.
Okay. Now, getting back to number 8 now. Did you want to talk at all about the grant on that one, Chris?
Well, with respect to the Friedman stones, there's a possibility, although I haven't gotten a return on my phone call, which I left, but they're pretty busy over at Wellspring. So Wellspring is doing a lot of work on the Friedmans with respect to genealogy. They've redone the whole first floor of Wellspring to bring it back to its original look and exposure and architectural the definition of what the house was like back in the mid 1700s. So they said that they were interested in us piggybacking with them and actually just giving them our numbers, and they would add it to their grant to see if we could get the Friedman stones actually repaired with any and all grants that they were submitting for Wellspring versus, for the Friedman I guess, history and genealogy. So
Good
that's
fine, Chris.
yeah.
job.
So that's
So we have a chance to really do it the right way and kind of showcase them and let it be an enduring. I mean, we don't have a lot of African-American stones in existence that we can put our hands on in Gloucester. We've got to, it's the timing is right to really showcase those.
Right. Well, one of the Freeman's husbands is in Clark, and I don't know where, and he doesn't have a stone. So
who is this now, Kathy?
Harriet Freeman's
Husband Johnson?
is,
Johnson?
yes, he's in Clark.
Wow.
I-
Wow.
Which Claudia's in, and there's no stone. So it sure would be nice if we knew what Claudia was in and we could get him a stone.
Yeah, yeah. Huh.
Good.
Yeah, that's something to think about, Kathy, because that would follow a thread, which would be pretty nice.
Mhm.
Okay, so the next step on number 8 is you're waiting for a return phone call.
Yes, waiting for that with respect to being able to submit our numbers, and again,
Okay.
and so, and we're hoping to get more bids, but Richard and Kathy, if you hear of people or your friend Jason recommends, restorers that are in, the Cape Ann, New England area, please give them, pass their names on to us.
well, Tamara is one that I would think that we'd pick to have her do a bid.
Yeah, I don't know her, yeah.
I know her.
Mhm.
Want to spell that for me, Sandy, or do we not want that in a minute? Oh,
TAMA.
M-A-R-A.
Well, it's kind of spelled a little differently.
Okay.
Tamara.
That's all right. You know, she probably doesn't belong in the minutes till we've contacted her anyway, so.
Well, she has historic gravesite services. Gravestone. Tamara, last name Conde.
And as in nobody,
November.
thank you.
November,
And
NNEE.
no, Conde.
Like Condé.
perfect, got it. Thank you.
Mhm.
And I'll send you her email.
So I was just looking at a easel, a marble easel for resetting granite stone. So basically, it's just, you know, a tilted, slightly tilted back top with a very thick base and a platform to sit on. So something like that would be to route out a section for that little piece to fit down into. Now we just need to figure out the correct way to secure it.
That would look nice, I think.
Yeah, so,
I don't think we're done with our homework here.
oh no, you know, I think that we need to do it right,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, good.
Definitely.
And
I
could
agree.
you send me, Richard, if you want, any ideas or connections? And Chris, I also have an email from Kathy about that connection to the Freeman gentleman in Clark. So just for your notes, I'll send
Oh,
it to you.
good. No, that's
Yeah.
good. That's good.
He's been missing for a few, you know, he's just in my Freeman folder as a missing person. I think he had a connection to Maine or something like that, or.
He did
By the
come
way-
from Maine. He was actually his father was a farmer, and I have a whole history on, I read a piece on him, Johnson. It was Hattie's words. I read an article about Hattie describing her husband.
Mhm.
So he did come from Maine.
Good, I'm glad, this is just these, all 6 of these stones are really important. And we'll talk about, I'm on number 9 now, right?
Update on the CPA grant.
Okay, good. So we got through the first phase of the CPA grant. And just one sec.
Congratulations.
Yeah, well, yeah, I used your documents.
It's okay. It's a committee.
I know.
We'll work together.
I know.
I did the copy editing.
Yeah.
We can always count on you for that, Chris.
Right,
Let's see, I'm an engineer, I'm a horrible speller.
We're
So
fine.
I think I've got to get this in by May 8th, which is a little bit more of the beef behind it.
Yeah.
And I don't have to list the stones, I don't have to list every single one of them, because the original list had like 10 stones on it.
Oh,
But
God.
as it turns out, this is more expensive than I thought it was gonna be.
Okay.
But I almost don't care if we use the whole $9,500,
No. Yeah.
okay, for 4 stones. If it's the most important stone so far in the cemetery.
Right.
Of course, I'd love to have Miles Barnes thrown in there.
Miles
Right.
Fifi,
Yes.
it's been fixed.
I-
I don't know if you know, Kathy, in the Dolliver we published, it didn't say Miles Barnes, it said Miles Fifi.
Yeah,
Fifi, what the?
But again, Sandy, with all the grants we're applying for, well, maybe we'll be lucky and get more too.
so we've been having, all right, so I'm not gonna skip and talk about that yet. Okay, so that's the update on that, and let's move on to number 10. Having a tough time getting a hold of Barry Pett, who manages the Gloucester Fund.
Mhm.
I sent an email today to his city council email, but I think that if we can't get a hold of him, and this is actually one of the reasons why we stopped using the Gloucester Fund, because he's very busy. He's now a city councilor. He'll be even busier. And we closed that account out 3 years ago.
Right.
And we might need to come up with some other way to take grants.
Rich mentioned in his email or somewhere that he's certainly done 5013Cs before. Am I right, Kathy?
Yes.
And I've certainly done 501c3s before. I used it at the library, for example. But it is an extra complication.
Yeah, and the reason why the Gloucester Fund was important in terms of credibility
Yeah,
is that it was managed by somebody outside of the group.
I agree completely.
Yeah, that was like a stickler.
So you're still working on that.
I guess so.
Okay, good.
In the meantime, $500 that's being sent over to us from the city council benefit will go in and be appropriated and approved by the city council. It was a fundraiser Sean Nolan and Val Gilman held,
Nice.
and they raised $500 to help pay for the repair. So
For stone restoration.
yes, and for the Freeman stones.
Oh, excellent. In
But
particular.
yes, but when this whole thing began a year and a half ago, I had no idea it was going to cost this much.
Mhm.
I mean, yikes. So that $500, we'll have to talk to Mike Hill about, well, where does that go? Because we don't want that to be used for,
Just disappear into the mowing.
oh God. Yeah, and there'll be more of those coming. All right, so that's the update on the Gloucester Fund. And, okay, we already did the metal work. 11,
We're on to
Yeah.
12. Yeah.
database. Carol,
I feel like I'm done with A to L, and I know Chris has been working away, but she's been doing a lot of other things too. So I'm not sure where she is. It's pretty exciting to think that it's got a version that we can begin to use. It's going to be a continuing, ongoing process to add information to it, add images to it, add GPS to it, but it's a base level of information about who's buried in all our cemeteries, all across Gloucester.
Wow, Carol, that's going to be a huge project.
It's done.
Yeah.
Chris and I've been working on it all winter.
So you have,
I did A to L, and I put a ridiculous amount of time into it. And Chris actually has a grandchild and a life, so I don't know how far she got.
I'm in the S's. I have a.
Oh, that's amazing. No, that's fabulous.
Yeah.
so you have the name of the person and where they're buried.
Actually, I would be glad to send, why don't I email you a copy of a sample of it?
Okay.
Because
Yeah,
what we did, all the information from Find a Grave, we got them to give us their database that lies behind what you see.
Oh,
We
okay.
combined it with all of the Edith Sparling and Mary Ray stuff. It's all been combined. And then Chris and I are going through and cleaning it up,
Mhm.
adding information that was somehow not there, getting rid of duplicates, just stuff that had to be done before it was anywhere near useful. And
Okay.
that's where we are.
Yeah, in Clark's, I have issues with the fact that I don't have editorial control over some of the things. So if I send information to you, then you can update things correctly. For
In
example,
fact, what I would be doing is sending to Ingrid Brown in Rockport. Here's our Rockport cemeteries. Please let us know if there are mistakes. I'm going to send it to you, Kathy. Here's Clark. Please let us know if there are mistakes. Because first of all, we know there will be mistakes. I mean, that's the nature of 14,000 entries.
yeah, two men who basically did most of the work in terms of inputting stuff into Find a Grave. And one of them is very good about allowing me to say, this is incorrect, please fix it. And the other one is thinker about it. And his name is Gilbert, and he doesn't want to change things, and I tried to explain to him, there's duplicates here. And he goes, well, it could be the same, it could be
Yeah.
different.
I have, and I've been writing to John, oh God, what's his last name? Mick something. And he's willing to take care of the duplicates because yes,
Right.
indeed, I found Find a Grave is totally unreliable. I'm very unhappy about it.
Yeah.
And then when you go to Ancestry,
oh,
it quotes Find a Grave. So it then becomes unreliable.
Right, exactly.
What's next on that, Carol? Just,
Next is to publish it, make it
okay, and
available.
where does it get published?
Well, I think that's what we're talking about, this digital filing cabinet that is then available to the world. And this is what in my head, I'm doing all
Okay.
this library thinking.
Oh, awesome, awesome, awesome. Yes, thank you for that document also.
And Carol, it won't be on the website?
It should be,
the
yes.
website?
It should be available to everybody all the time. And yeah, there's no, I mean, the whole point of it is giving people access,
Now, and
not doing it and putting it away. It's not, that's not the point.
which website? The, our city-owned cemetery committee?
Well, basically, yeah, and we'll be able to talk to the IT people, and as a committee, we also need to talk about that organizational structure that I sent you a little
Okay.
sample of.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's, you know, that's for another meeting.
This
don't have
is
that much
great.
time.
This is great. Okay. 13, Delver presentation. Thank you so much for sending that.
I got an email from them today. The 15th is the date they'll review it and let me know whether or not it was accepted.
Okay.
It's for
Great.
June for an American Gravestone Studies presentation. So
Okay.
it's in on time, and they just emailed me today saying it's going to be done. It will be done on.
Is it going to be written format, Carol, or is it going to be a video or what?
It's probably going to be a live Zoom presentation with images. Yeah.
Excellent, excellent.
Probably. Who knows? I said to them I could do it any way they want. I can do it face to face. I can do whatever.
Mhm.
Okay.
I think I heard it's going to be remote again, but
Yeah, that's how it is right now.
yeah.
That's
Okay, the Dolliver transcription.
14.
All the errata have been corrected in every copy. The 3 holders of printed copies have been sent errata sheets so that they know that they can put them in the front. And just today, Digital Commonwealth uploaded volume 2, and tomorrow they should be doing volume 3. So we should be up on Digital Commonwealth maybe the next couple weeks.
Mhm.
We had some problems that were mine. Nobody needs to hear about them. I'm dealing with them. And so that'll be all set, and every copy, including the one at archives.org and the ones on our website, everything's been updated. All the errata have been taken care of. So right now, if you find a mistake, we'll start a new errata sheet, but we're in great shape. Miles Fifi Barnes is gone.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Good. 15, Fishman's Rest. I do not have any updates on that.
We have all the documents, Sandy. You have them all, the ones that Edith filed in 1997, right? We have all those documents.
Yeah, as some
We have them.
test, yes, as in, I think the last thing I was supposed to do on this is start feeding the whole thing into OCR.
But see, that's what Mike is buying me. Us,
The
a
scan-
gadget. We're gonna have a
Well,
gadget.
Oh, okay, because I've done 5 pages so far. And
Don't
stop.
do anything.
okay,
This is so exciting. I can't believe all I do is make a couple phone calls, one to IT, and I didn't think that he'd buy me. I never dawned on me. This was something out of the blue.
I didn't know that device also did OCR,
Uh-huh.
because I need to be able to
Uh-huh,
edit the pages.
sure.
You can do that? Is
You
it-
should be able to, because it'll PDF, and once it's in PDF, then I can make it OCR, and I can also edit the pages with my full Adobe suite. So we'll talk.
Oh, okay.
All right, but I'm very, very excited because, you know, I had to go borrow the machine at Cape Ann Museum to be able to do this with Dolliver, and now we're going to, as a committee, own a gadget.
Right, right.
I am so excited. I can't believe they did that. I don't know.
Good. Awesome. Good, good, good.
Shoot.
Okay. We've asked for number 16. Is that right? Yes,
Well-
16. Second Parish Cemetery needs a sign at the burial ground site. That's for sure. And I don't think that's going to be a problem at all for Michael. I think that we've already ran this by him at least once before, because it's hard to find up there.
Chris and John did a whole bunch of work, right?
But now, Sandy, with your sign, should we wait and do the interpretive sign there? Or are you thinking of just, what are you thinking about with respect to a sign?
What kind of signs are we getting if it was just a sign?
We just something, I don't know, maybe we'd be doing a gate again or an arch or something like that.
Probably not an arch up there. It just, even a sign that looks like, the old adopted by cemeteries, whatever that new style is going to be, because not everybody's going to get, once we take down all the adopted signs, there's going to have to be a regular sign going into the place of all of those. They're not all going to be arches. Not every cemetery had an arch, right?
Just the historical ones. I don't know if they had an arch. It's just the it's just the arch was just to go over the gate or over the entranceway, but that just evolved.
But I think there's sometimes like just a sign that's saying that this is Second Parish, West Gloucester, and then eventually we're going to have the interpretive sign with the QR code, right?
Yeah, because that sounds like it's going to take a lot longer than just getting a sign up there. So in the style of, I just meant like the style of
just the simple name of the place.
Yeah, and with the dates and things like that.
How about just the style that right there that shows that this is Thompson's Path or something, when you come up on Concord Street? How about that style?
Now there is a sign there that says it's Thompson Street. Did that fall down too?
No,
that it did, but it was restored last fall.
But you want to have one at the cemetery.
Absolutely.
Here's the cemetery.
I can't tell you how many times I've gotten email with people saying, where is it? And then having them say, oh, I think I see it, because it's all overgrown and it's hard to find,
So make that a high priority. Let's do this right away. Just get a sign out there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. In the notes.
So I'll take that and just send Mike a request to put a sign there at the cemetery.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you can probably send him the date too. Yeah, if you have, you must have it, right? Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, and last but not least, we are right at 7:01. The cleanup is set for this Saturday from 11 to 12:30.
For Second Parish?
Yes.
I'm not gonna see you there, Kathy.
Have you heard what I'm doing?
I heard.
I have. I'm not picking anything up and I'm not bending over, but I'll come and supply water. I'll do something. I'll show up.
You do. God, with the amount of documents and stuff that don't, but it would be really good to see you. And so
I'll show up.
Yeah. You can see the latest damage from the tree.
Yeah, well, I got the impression. How long did you and John spend up there, Chris?
4.5 hours.
Yeah.
That's just a start.
Oh my gosh. So
if you think of something that I can do, like bring something, let me know.
Carol, it's about a 10-minute walk in. It's kind of, if your back isn't, up for it.
No, I don't worry. I'll turn around and walk back.
Sandy, did you go back to Clark to see if that tree got cleaned up after the C-click fix got turned in?
The one on the edge near where the
in the back.
Yeah, the back. I don't think I did. Did they say they took care of that?
No, I haven't seen anything come back. The C-click fix hasn't been closed.
Andy?
Yeah.
Can I ask you if you can go, you were able to change the website on the city, aren't you?
Yeah.
Did you put Saturday's cleanup on there? Could you do that?
Well,
I mean, maybe there's no point to it. I don't know.
Yeah. Nobody goes there.
Okay.
Really?
Just a thought.
I get most of my traction just by the Facebook page and things like that. The problem that's happening up there is that there's like no parking.
Yeah.
So we're gonna kind of run into a little bit of an issue, I think.
But
But
I could do that. I could chauffeur.
yeah, I know.
No, I could. I could do that. That's useful.
Yeah.
All right.
So we didn't it's not like an all points bulletin with 40 people type thing, because
Fair enough.
it's a tough area. There's a corner there, and
Yeah, there's not much room.
we're just gonna, do the best we can. So,
To
So
start.
Rich got a message from Rob, and I just thought I would pass this on.
from who?
Rob, because Rob is just wonderful. He told Rich that he needed to make a list of everything that was done in Clark, and this summer it will be done. So
Like
Clark
you-
be done as far as restoration. So, I mean, I am so excited, and we are so lucky to have him, you
Yep.
know,
Yeah.
We
Oh,
got so
definitely.
last year was amazing.
right? And, when you consider the value, the dollar value of the work that he has donated to us, it's just
Mm.
amazing, but he has been wonderful.
Yeah, he really is. And I've seen his work, and that's why we wanted him to work on our precious stones up there.
Right.
That are just kind of a little finicky.
Well,
Um,
I trust Rob to do his research, if I trust him to think that he would do the right thing and he would research it to do it right. So that's the good thing.
Now, thank you so much, Kathy, and I agree. We're at the end of the meeting. Is there any additional things that anybody wanted to bring up before we closed?
Maybe we could put together a set of documents for this meeting, Chris. Make sure, I think you've already sent those drawings. Have you?
Yes.
And so why don't I put a packet together? As was suggested, do you think?
For May or for this meeting, and then you'll send it out to all the people who attended.
Well, at least, yeah, and it'll be available, Sandy, if somebody comes to you and asks, you'll have a packet.
Yeah.
How's that sound?
And actually, your document on fragments, it's a very good document, Carol. I think you should include that. And-
Okay, I'll include that summary about
Yeah,
fragments, yeah.
Yeah, summary.
Okay, Sandy, how's that sound?
That sounds good. Now, who would those go to?
That, I'm gonna send it to the four of us and to Mike, but what it'll be available if anybody contacts you and says something, you'll be able to just send them the packet. Because they were documents that were mentioned in the meeting. Is that
Do you
okay?
think that we could just include them in a packet for May also, because that way it's
Sure.
officially in there?
Yeah, we can wait till May to do that and have them ready to go. And then for May, if
Uh,
we're gonna do any documents, we'll put them in ahead of time.
Right.
But I would like them now too.
Okay,
you know
so
what I mean?
that's what I'm saying.
I
I'll put
just-
them together. I'll take Chris's
Yeah.
stuff and my stuff and.
Yeah.
Okay,
That sounds great.
all right, I'll get it to you tomorrow morning. Oh, I have PT.
All
tomorrow
right,
morning.
very-
I'm not first thing.
I'd like to make a motion to close the meeting.
Okay,
Thank you so much, everyone.
yeah. We don't see you, Kathy. Rich, have a safe drive up.
Oh, I'm so sad that I don't get to be there to start working in the cemetery.
It's still a little cold. It's not that nice.
Yeah.
So are you saying it shouldn't come up on the 23rd? I ought to wait a week?
Yeah, it's
No,
kind
no.
of,
No, so no, I'm stuck doing algebra. So
All right.
God bless you. He's a lucky, he or she's lucky to have you.
Chris,
he is-
you'll take care of sending the minutes that we approved to the city clerk?
No, I do that.
That's what I said. You're gonna take, all right, that was a question.
Yep.
Great. Just wanted to check. Perfect. Thank you.
okay, bye.
Okay,
ya.
bye, everyone.
See you Saturday, some of you.
See you Saturday.
Okay, bye.
Bye.